One second, a woman who thought she ruled our neighborhood was strutting across my backyard, and the next, she was flat on the grass, her oversized sunglasses flying through the air, courtesy of a donkey's back legs. That moment wasn't just humiliating for her, it cracked open weeks of chaos, dragging me into a war with the HOA, and with the woman everyone quietly called Karen. I never asked for that fight, but once it started there was no way to walk away without losing everything. I should back up. My name's Mark Harrison, and when I moved into Willow Creek I thought I'd found a quiet little corner of suburbia. Every lawn was clipped like it had a military haircut. Mailboxes were identical. Even the flower beds looked like they'd been approved by some secret design committee. And honestly, that wasn't far from the truth. The Homeowners Association, the HOA, wasn't just strict, it was suffocating. People whispered about it like it was a little government, and at the center of it all was Karen Whitmore. She wasn't even technically president, but everyone knew she pulled the strings. Clipboard in hand, visor perched on her head, she patrolled the streets like a sheriff in a ghost town. She had this uncanny ability to notice a trash can left out 30 minutes too long or a car parked a few inches crooked, and she turned every tiny flaw into a federal crime. I wasn't cut from the same cloth as my neighbors. I had inherited my uncle's old place, a modest house with a big yard that backed up into some unused land. And unlike everyone else, I wasn't interested in picture-perfect landscaping. I was practical, easygoing, a little eccentric. And that eccentricity showed itself when I brought Jasper into the neighborhood. Jasper wasn't just any pet. He was my uncle's old farm companion, a donkey who'd been part of my family longer than some relatives. To me, Jasper wasn't livestock, he was family. I built him a proper pen, made sure he had shade food water. Kids in the neighborhood loved him. They'd run up to the fence, laugh when he let out his loud, braying call. He was harmless. Harmless to everyone except Karen. From the moment she laid eyes on him, she acted like I'd unleashed a monster on her perfect little world. She told me straight to my face, "This is a residential neighborhood, not a barnyard." She started taping anonymous notes to my door, written in bold capital letters. "Remove the livestock or face consequences." She rattled on about property values, about community standards, about bylaws. I knew she hadn't even read carefully. Because I had. I'd gone through every single rule, and nowhere did it mention donkeys. Dogs, cats, yes. Unauthorized sheds, sure. But Jasper, perfectly legal. Karen didn't care about legal, she cared about control. She glared at me from her yard whenever Jasper brayed. She knocked on doors, spun stories about sleepless nights and dropping home values, and when that didn't work, she escalated. I'll never forget the afternoon she marched straight into my backyard like she owned it. I was inside grabbing a drink, and I heard Jasper bray, sharp and startled. I rushed out just in time to see her standing at his pen, hands on her hips, and then, like it was the most natural thing in the world, she tried to kick him. A grown woman aiming her foot at a donkey. She didn't get far. Jasper, spooked, let out a roar of a bray and let fly with his back legs. The kick hit square. Karen went airborne, landing in the grass, clutching her side and gasping. Her sunglasses flew into the bushes. Neighbors came running. Some tried to hide their laughter, others rushed to her aid, and kids scattered to tell the story like it was the greatest thing they'd ever seen. And that was the moment it all changed. Karen wasn't humiliated in private, she was humiliated in front of the entire block. And she would never forgive me or Jasper for that. You'd think maybe she would have let it go, learned a little humility. No. She doubled down. She filed a complaint with the HOA describing Jasper as a dangerous beast. She conveniently forgot to mention that she trespassed and tried to kick him. She dragged binders of blurry photos into meetings quoting bylaws that had nothing to do with the situation. She went door to door like a politician begging for votes, waving petitions titled, "Protect Our Neighborhood Standards." And here's the part that got to me. She started turning people against me. A few neighbors signed just to keep her off their doorstep. Some avoided me. Suddenly it wasn't just Karen. It was Karen with a little army. I tried to laugh it off. I told myself, "You've got the law on your side, Mark. This'll blow over." But the letters kept coming. The HOA scheduled a hearing. And then I started to doubt myself. Lying awake at night, I stared at the ceiling, wondering if I was the problem. Was it selfish to keep Jasper here? Was I dragging my new neighborhood into chaos? Maybe I should sell the place, walk away, start over somewhere else without the headaches. I remember standing at the pen one night, Jasper nudging me gently like he could sense my mood, and I thought maybe Karen's right. Maybe I'm just being stubborn. But then, something shifted. Neighbors I barely knew came up to me quietly. Parents told me their kids loved Jasper. One dad even said, "Don't let her push you around. That donkey's the only thing that makes this place feel alive." I realized I wasn't alone. People were sick of Karen's bullying, and that gave me the spark I needed. I gathered zoning documents, Jasper's veterinary records, photos of his clean pen, even logs of Karen trespassing. By the time the HOA hearing rolled around, I was ready. That night the room was packed. Karen marched in with binders like she was preparing a Supreme Court case, voice shrill, describing Jasper like he was a rampaging bull. Then it was my turn. I kept it simple, clear evidence, calm delivery. I even had neighbors stand up and testify that Jasper was friendly, loved, never a problem. It wasn't dramatic, but it was solid. And when the board finally spoke, they ruled in my favor. Jasper could stay. I won. But I didn't feel relief. I felt dread. Because the way Karen stormed out of that room red-faced and muttering, I knew it wasn't over. And I was right. Her tactics turned darker. One night I found spoiled food tossed into Jasper's pen food that could have made him sick. Another morning the latch on his gate looked like someone had tried to force it open. And then came the rake incident. I wasn't home, but neighbors caught her on camera jabbing a rake at Jasper through the fence, yelling about taking care of the problem. The videos spread like wildfire. This time no one believed her excuses. Suddenly the story wasn't Mark and his donkey are ruining the neighborhood. It was Karen's gone off the rails. Still, she didn't stop. The breaking point came at a block party. Everyone was outside grilling, chatting, and kids were giggling as they petted Jasper along the fence. For once it felt like a community. And then Karen came marching in, shrieking about bylaws, shoving through the crowd. She stormed straight toward Jasper, hand raised like she was about to hit him. And right there in front of dozens of neighbors and a dozen phone cameras, Jasper defended himself again. His legs shot back and Karen went down hard on the pavement. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by the sound of phones recording. Karen scrambled up screaming about lawsuits, about animal control, but nobody was buying it anymore. People had seen the truth. They'd seen her aggression, her obsession, and the ridiculousness of it all. The fallout was fast. Videos spread online. The HOA called an emergency meeting. This time the evidence was overwhelming footage of her trespassing with the rake witness statements and now the block party kick. Karen tried to defend herself, voice trembling, insisting she was the victim. But her allies sat stone-faced, refusing to back her up. And when the board finally made their decision, the words felt like the air being let out of a balloon. Karen was stripped of every committee role, barred from neighborhood governance, and issued a final warning. She wasn't forced to leave, but the power she'd clung to for years was gone in an instant. She left the meeting, hunched binder clutched to her chest, sunglasses hiding her face. And just like that, her reign was over. No more notes on my door, no more trespassing, no more endless harassment. She'd lost everything that made her dangerous, and for the first time since I moved into Willow Creek, I could breathe. The truth is, I didn't feel like celebrating. I didn't feel like gloating. I just felt tired. Tired of fighting, tired of the stress, but also quietly satisfied. Because Jasper wasn't just a donkey. He was proof that sometimes standing your ground, no matter how small or ridiculous it seems, is the only way to stop a bully. And that's the lesson. If you let people like Karen run unchecked, they'll take everything. But the moment you stand up, the moment you push back, their whole empire of control crumbles.